Hello, this is Ryan Riley, and today I'm going to be presenting on climate change and potential solutions to climate change. Alright, so the first step to understanding climate change is understanding what a climate is. So a climate is the usual condition of the temperature, atmospheric pressure, humidity, precipitation, and other meteorological elements in an area of Earth over a long period of time. So I could say the climate of Phoenix, Arizona is a desert climate, which means it is very hot during the day and it gets cold at night. And the climate of Alaska is a subarctic climate, which means they have long, very cold winters and short and mild summers. What is climate change? Climate change is a change in the average climate of an area on the Earth's surface over a sustained period of time. A good example of climate change is comparing the climate of the Ice Age to the climate of the Earth now. The Ice Age was a period where the Earth's temperature reduced globally, which resulted in the presence or expansion of continental and polar ice sheets around the world. This made the Earth colder and kind of uninhabitable for a lot of animals. Over the course of tens of thousands of years, the climate of the Earth changed from the Ice Age to the more moderate climate of the Earth today. So that's just one example of climate change. Now, there are two types of climate change. Natural climate change is one of the types, and anthropogenic climate change is the other type. Natural climate change is when the Earth's climate is influenced and changed through the effects of natural causes, like natural Earth processes. Anthropogenic climate change is when the Earth's climate is influenced and changed through the effects of human activity, such as industry and agriculture run by humans. So, how does natural climate change occur? Natural climate change occurs through volcanic eruptions, ocean currents, orbital changes in the Earth, and solar variations. These natural Earth processes cause changes in naturally occurring greenhouse gas concentrations, which results in the warming or cooling of the Earth. So greenhouse gases are gases in the atmosphere that trap heat in the Earth. The four main greenhouse gases are water vapor, carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide. So these gases make up a portion of the Earth's atmosphere and cause what is known as the greenhouse effect on Earth. So here's a visual representation of the greenhouse effect. As you can see, the UV rays, sunlight, comes in through the atmosphere, and some of it is reflected back off the Earth's surface back into space, and some is absorbed and kept inside the Earth's atmosphere, which warms the Earth. And the greenhouse gases I talked about, such as carbon dioxide, methane, water vapor, and nitrous oxide, those are what keep the heat inside of the Earth. So let's talk about anthropogenic climate change. Anthropogenic climate change is when certain human activity causes an increase in the amount of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, which results in more heat from the sun being trapped and absorbed by the Earth's atmosphere, warming or cooling the Earth. Deforestation causes an increase in carbon dioxide levels in the atmosphere because when you cut down trees, there's less photosynthesis going on. And as we all know, photosynthesis uses carbon dioxide to produce oxygen, which lowers CO2 levels. But since we're cutting down the trees, less CO2 is being used by photosynthesis, which is now being released into the atmosphere. Burning fossil fuels, such as coal or oil, combines carbon with oxygen in the air to make carbon dioxide, which is then released into the atmosphere. According to the NASA website, humans have increased atmospheric CO2 concentrations by 47% since the Industrial Revolution began, which is a large number. Car emissions also increase CO2 concentration in the atmosphere because when we drive our car, it emits CO2. Since we have such a large cattle industry in the United States, the emissions from cows increase the level of methane in the atmosphere, because when a cow poops, a lot of methane is in that poop. I'm just going to say it how it is. So soil cultivation and burning landfills increases the amount of nitrous oxide in the atmosphere. All of these activities increase the amount of carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide in the atmosphere, which causes the Earth to become warmer, which causes global warming. So what are the effects of global climate change, aka global warming? Well, first of all, your ice melts at a faster rate all across the world, which contributes to the rising sea levels, which can take out cities like Miami or the Bahamas Islands, because they're at 0 feet sea level. So the oceans will just rise over them. All the ports will have to be built up higher, and it would just be a very bad situation. Also, warmer oceans, which could contribute to the extinction or death of animals, and also to the death of our beloved coral reefs. The bleaching of the coral reefs, which eventually leads to the death of the coral reefs. Shrinking mountain glaciers also, and changes in flower and plant blooming times, which can affect the quality of our agriculture. Here are some potential solutions to stop climate change or slow it down. First one, eliminating the use of fossil fuels. According to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, in 2019, 63% of all of our energy came from the burning of fossil fuels. This number has to go down dramatically if we wish to halt climate change. However, providing enough electricity from renewable energy sources such as solar or wind energy would be very expensive and would take major infrastructure changes all across the United States. That could be a reason to explain why politicians are reluctant to switch our energy sources. But in order to stop climate change, we have to eliminate the use of fossil fuels and switch over to more renewable energy sources such as wind or solar energy. The second potential solution to slow down climate change would be moving to electric cars. So moving to electric cars would greatly decrease the amount of carbon dioxide that is emitted by cars every day. However, electric cars are expensive at this point in time, and many families simply just can't afford them. Another solution to this car emissions problem could be utilizing public transportation more, owning less cars per family, walking more, biking more, and finding other ways to get around instead of driving a car. Another potential solution to stop climate change is to eat less meat, specifically beef. Eating less meat would reduce the amount of cattle farms needed to supply people with beef, resulting in less cows releasing methane into the atmosphere. According to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the United States produced 27.2 billion pounds of beef in 2019. That is an unfathomable amount of cows defecating and releasing methane into the atmosphere. So in order to reduce the methane concentration in the atmosphere, people need to eat less beef. If people eat less beef, less cows would have to be domesticated, which would result in less methane. Another potential solution to stop climate change is to stop deforestation from occurring. If deforestation is stopped and more trees are planted, there will be more photosynthesis going on, which will actually reduce the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Since the process of photosynthesis consumes carbon dioxide, the amount of carbon dioxide will decrease. The last potential solution I came up with was to adopt a population control policy such as a one-child per family policy. I know this may be unsustainable because people love having kids, but having less people in the United States and around the world would result in less cars being driven, less fossil fuels having to be burned, less meat being eaten, and it would just slow down climate change. In order to completely halt climate change, these solutions must be done everywhere, in every country, not just in the United States. If every country bands together in an effort to stop climate change, I believe that climate change can be stopped, and humans will be able to thrive for much longer on Earth.